Universe is a book by Richard Panek. The book is a brief summary of the 4% of the universe that we know and the event behind all these discovery. Chapter 1. Let There Be Light. In the beginning, which is to say 1965, the universe was simple. It came into being one of noontime early that year over the course of a telephone conversation. Jim Peebles was sitting in the office of his mentor and frequent collaborator, the Princeton physics Robert Dick, along with two other colleagues. The phone rang. Dick took the call. Dick helped ran a research from on the side, and he himself held dozens of patents. During these weekly brown bag lunches in his office, he sometimes got phone calls that were full of esoteric and technical vocabulary that people didn't recognize. This call, though, contains esoteric and technical vocabulary that people knew intimately. Concepts for physics had been discussed that very afternoon. Cold load, for instance, a device that will help calibrate the horn antenna, another term people overheard, that they would be using to try to detect specific signal from space. The three physicists grew quiet and looked at Dick. Dick thanked the caller and hung up, then turned to his colleague and says, "Well, boys, we've been scooped." The caller was an astronomer at the Bell's telephone laboratories who had collected some curious data but had no idea what it means. People and Dick had developed a curious idea but had no data to support it. The other two physicists at lunch has been building an antenna to detect a signal that will offer support for the curious idea. But now, Dick says, a pair of astronomers at Bell Labs had probably found it first, without knowing what they've done. The moon in Dick's office was not one of deflation or disappointment. If the four of them had in fact been scooped, they have also been heading in a potentially profitable science direction. If nothing else, they could take some comfort from the possibility that they were the first person in the history of the world to understand the history of the universe. But before reaching any conclusion, they will have to check the data from themselves. Dick and two of the other Princeton physicists soon drove the 30 miles to Homedale Township, New Jersey, home of the Bell's Lab Research Center. The Bell's Lab astronomers, Arnold Penzias, who had placed the calls to Dick, and his collaborator Robert Wilson, took them to see the antenna. It was a horn-shaped instrument, as big as a boxcar, by the side of the private road at the top of Carrefour Hills, the highest point of miles around. After five of them had squeezed into a control lab, their elbows brushing vacuum tubes in instrument panels, the Bell's Lab astronomers explained the physics to physicists. Bell Labs had built the antenna in 1960 to receive coast-to-coast signal bouncing off the Echo communication satellite, a highly reflected balloon 100 feet in diameter. When the Echo mission ends, the antenna was used on the Telstar satellite. When that mission ends, Penzia and Wilson approved the antenna to study radio waves from the fingers of our Milky Way galaxy. The measurement will have to be much more sensitive than they were for Echo. So Penzia had built a cold load, an instrument that emit a specific signal that he and Wilson would compare with measurement from the antenna to make sure it wasn't collecting any excess noise, and the cold load works, just not in the way they've hoped. Aside from the unavoidable rattling of electrons in the atmosphere and within the instrument itself, Penzia and Wilson were left with a persistent indexable hiss.